All right, time for Quiplash. Is that everyone? Huh. No, it's fine. You guys will do. This is round one. You are about to see two prompts on your device. Type something hilarious or not for each one. Then everyone gets to decide if your answer is better than someone else's. Democracy at work. The more folks who choose your answer, the more points you get. Go! Okay, I hope you all made me proud. First up, a weird thing for an astronaut to say on the moon. Okay, pick your favorite. Up next, the worst person who could sing the James Bond theme. Vote on your devices. Next up, a fun thing to do in a grocery store when no one is looking. Vote away. Next in the hopper, what the raccoons digging in your garbage say about you. Get to voting. Round one is behind us. Let's see how you scored. Round two is here, so let's double the points and bonuses, shall we? Hurry up! Use a safety quip if you can't think of anything. All right, let's have a look. The first prompt is a good sign your dog wears your clothes when you're not home. Okay, pick your favorite and vote.
Shocking new video tonight of a journalist being attacked on the job. Surveillance video showing the man.
And next, the title of Rob Schneider's memoir. Okay, vote. Next on the list, what are mannequins always thinking? It's voting time. Next on deck, an event you would dominate at the Olympics, the 500-meter blank. Ready, set, vote! Round 2 is over. Let's see who came out on top. This is round 3, the last lash. Everyone gets the same one single prompt this time. Make up the full name for this acronym.
The man suspected of shooting those 6 Philadelphia police officers yesterday, that man is in police custody. Video captured police taking the suspect, his name is Maurice Hill, out of a Philadelphia hospital earlier this morning. He surrendered just after midnight, nearly 8 hours after the dramatic and violent standoff with police began. Authorities were trying to serve a warrant, a narcotics warrant, to his home. The situation quickly escalated when the shots rang out.
Use caution, please, and respond.
Right there.
Stand by. Car stand by. 15 shots.
All right, we're ready. Okay, in round 3, you get to award both a gold and a silver medal to your top 2 quips. Have at it. All right, let's see who earned those medals. Show me the silver. And finally, gold. All right, let's turn that into cold, hard points. It's over. Let's see the final scores.
Israel has now moved to block 2 Democratic members of Congress from visiting the country. This after President Trump urged Israel to do just that. We're talking about Congresswomen Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, the very same freshman Democrats that the president has targeted and attacked for weeks. Here's what the president said just this morning on Twitter. He wrote this: "It would show great weakness if Israel allowed Congresswoman Omar and Tlaib to visit." He then goes on to make even more inflammatory attacks against those sitting members of Congress. Now it looks like Israel is listening. CNN's Oren Lieberman, he joins me from Jerusalem. Sarah Westwood joins me from New Jersey, where the president is vacationing. Oren, first to you. You've been following this. There were rumors that this could be in the offing. What do you have now?
Well, now the decision is official. According to a spokesman for Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister Tzipi Hotovely, Israel has now decided to bar entry to Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. Let's not forget, these are 2 Muslim congresswomen, and Tlaib herself is the first congresswoman of Palestinian origin. Well, the decision now official, as I said. Israel will bar them entry, will not allow them in. They were scheduled to arrive tomorrow night. It was the deputy foreign minister who first made these comments on Israel radio, and she was the first Israeli official to acknowledge that a decision had been made. But there were no details about, first, who made the final decision and when it was made. What we do know is that it came just minutes after President Donald Trump tweeted that Israel would be showing, quote, great weakness by allowing them in, and that may have forced Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's hand. Netanyahu has never publicly disagreed with President Donald Trump, and it didn't seem like he was about to start now. That final decision coming, as we know from the Deputy Foreign Minister, just a short time ago.
Welcome to Quiplash. If you experience any dizziness while playing, you probably won't do very well. Looks like the gang's all here. Guess I'll press this big red go button. This is round 1. You'll score points based on the percentage of people who prefer your answer. Have at it. Time's running out. Use a safety quip if you need it. Okay, remember, this is all your fault. Starting us off, a hit country song for people who care about the environment. Okay, everybody, pick your favorite. Coming up next, a job you'd be surprised requires a urine test. And vote. Next one, the worst office has a view of blank. Time to vote. Next prompt. How would you spend your first day as U.S. President? Put in your votes. That's it. Let's see the scores for round 1. Onward to round 2. Remember, all points and bonuses are doubled. 3. Hit the safety quit button if you can't think of something. Time to share. First off, the worst part about sharing a sleeping bag with this player. Okay, choose your favorite. Your next prompt is the biggest mistake you can make at an all-you-can-eat buffet. Vote now. And next is the name of an exhibit you'd be surprised to see at an art museum. Get to voting.
Welcome back, Wolfpack. Yes, I just muted the audio on the intro, but it's okay. It's one of those days. Be fine. Welcome back, Wolfpack. Direwolf here for our weekly news recap. Behind Enemy Lines on YouTube, where speech is not free and the truth is demonetized. Along with me is my co-host, Arcater. How you doing, buddy?
Greetings, everyone. So far, so good.
Also with me is David from Dreamkeepers. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And we also have Maddie from Madwoman Muses. How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
Fantastic. Looking forward to having lots of fun with the news. So, I want to thank everyone for supporting our channel financially. I very much appreciate it. Among those who have supported us financially recently were in Maine, Nathan, Cameron, Tetris Freak, Slowpoke Garcia, Timberwolf, Golem, Lone Fury, Pablo Gomez, Strongarm, Hellraiser, Alan Kalet, and Daychrist. Daychrist a lot, actually. Thank you very much, Daychrist. And also, I already said Timberwolf, so yes, thank you again, Timberwolf. If you want to support us, you don't have to do it financially. We do appreciate when you guys like, share, and subscribe. That helps us out a lot. And we do raffles right now. We are doing the raffle for the Dreamkeepers comic. We will be doing one. We've got to the threshold, so we will be doing one of Dreamkeepers comics digital versions raffle off today. Please don't let me forget that. And also, don't let me forget to empty the chest before the end of the stream. In any case, how you guys all doing? Ready for this?
Yeah.
You guys saw the Portland protests? What's going on there?
No.
Okay, so basically there was another two demonstrations between Proud Boys and Antifa and then other people who aren't in either group. And there was a lot of people being attacked and a lot of video of people being attacked in the streets by Antifa, people being pulled out of buses, weapons being, people being hit with weapons, a guy being knocked out, what looked like somewhere around a 14-year-old girl being, chased down by a mob and her, I'm guessing, guardian trying to protect her, but not, only one guy against a crowd. It is pretty despicable, and the police doing nothing. I was wondering at what point is the Portland government and the Portland police going to actually start defending their people?
Yes, their bold new plan of doing nothing seems to not quite pay off, at least not in any way we might have expected it to rationally. Or actually, it's what we expected. Just what are they expecting to happen?
I mean, we shouldn't be surprised.
Everyone gets tired of it?
Yeah. This is the same thing that happens every time there's a protest in Portland. Antifa always shows up to capture the counter-protest, and there's always violence from Antifa. It's nothing new, right? We aren't surprised by this. I have a catalog of videos of violence from Antifa just in Portland. The question is, why are they still allowing it to continue, right? And then what really got me was the news media, the mainstream news media, actually had several people come out and say, hey, there was a protest in Portland and there was no violence, despite there being lots of publicly available videos of single-sided violence from Antifa. Nothing to see here, nothing to see here. There's no violence.
So we just got to figure out how can we use this to our advantage. Like, could we stage a protest at a bank and then show up dressed as Antifa and just sort of help ourselves? It's like, how far can you push the bar before the police actually do something to people in masks? Because if they're not going to stop, if we can just walk into a bank dressed as Antifa in Portland and help ourselves, it's like, hey, all right.
Yeah, I mean, they did let BLM, burn down a bunch of businesses and destroy a bunch of property and only arrested, 20 people that, in a situation. So maybe crimes are okay as long as you're in a group and you all wear the same clothing.
It's probably worth a try. I mean, if it doesn't work and they arrest you, well, at least the police started doing something. And if it does work, looted bank.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess we should start taking applications for the Direwolf gang so we can start robbing these banks.
But get it right make sure it's an Antifa-themed Direwolf gang. You can't just go in there and rob a bank like anybody. You gotta be wearing the proper clothing, signaling the proper allegiances, and then you might have a shot at walking away with it.
Yeah, we gotta be intersectional.
Morally correct.
Right. As long as we're morally correct, being intersectional and all, then all the facts of what we're doing doesn't really matter. We're on the right side of politics. We're on the right side of history, right?
As long as they know you're a Pharisee, it's fine.
I'll have to go in first because I am the Latina. I am, the minority of the group with the most depression points, with the uniform on, and everybody has to come after me because I will intersectionally, introduce you guys as my allies, so we can go in there and do whatever we want and leave.
That's great. It's like
Look,
Kevlar
we'll
for
all be dressed like palette-swapped stormtroopers anyway. It's not like they're going to be able to tell that we might be fibbing a bit when we claim to be a two-spirit Native American demigender.
Yeah, of course, I'm being a straight white male will be in the bottom of the stack, but because I'm using you as the Kevlar armor, right, I can be as racist as I want against the people that are the bad ones, right?
Right.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure you got to get the updated rule book. They put a new one out every few days, but as of the last time I checked, that's how it works.
That is great. Let's do this. But let's do that after we do the news. First story. That's on you, Marketer.
Very well. The most expensive ad campaign in history. That's fantastic. Pardon.
Well, I thought that was intentional. Like what is a drum roll? Like, wow, he's so advanced. He has sound effects on his side.
That's what's called mysterious machinery coming loose and pieces jamming in a corner at the worst possible moment. Anyhow, the head of the Gillette Razor Company claims that the social justice approach they took during the infamous ad campaigns was totally worth it, despite the fact that it cost $8 billion. According to Gillette's parent company CEO, their progressive ad campaign resulted in massive backlash that alienated a portion of their customer base. This has been a factor in them losing sales to their competitors.
And boy, do they have a lot of competitors now. They have all these new startups that are mailing stuff to you directly at a much lower price. They already can't compete with that. The only thing they had was their name recognition and their reputation, and that reputation's now shit because of their ad campaign. So they're really tanking in stocks right now. Since January, Gillette has released several unpopular ads, unpopular being a massive understatement, including a perceived attack on masculinity, and one involving a transgender adolescent because, according to the CEO of Razor Mogul, the parent company of Gillette, it was an attempt to appeal to the millennial generation, because apparently they think millennials all hate masculinity and are transgender or heading that direction. That attempt failed spectacularly. Apparently, the progressives among the millennials aren't the economic juggernaut that Gillette thought they were. In fact, they are a loud minority that don't seem to have much money or buying power.
Well,
Indeed, when it comes to transgender, the general shift doesn't seem to be from female to male. So why do they think this is going to result in more shaving razor buyers? I mean, clearly they're down for waxing, but shaving's right out.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about people who are still in their parents' basement who thinks actual decent coffee comes from Starbucks.
Starbucks makes terrible black coffee. I don't know if anyone's ever just tried their black coffee. The only reason why they're even open is because of all those fancy drinks they make, and they're still overpriced. God.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get people to spend $7 on like a cup of coffee, that's a pretty good business model. If you can get people to do it.
You're buying the environment, I assume, because the coffee's not that good. And what's about that environment makes it so special? Is it the air that everyone that goes there thinks they're better than you? Because I can go somewhere else for that.
Well, really, how else do you expect people to write a screenplay? You can't write it anywhere.
Yeah, you can't spend your entire life, saying you're writing a book without going to Starbucks, right? It's
a necessary component, yes, of the creative process.
Yeah. Pretending you're actually writing a book and not actually writing a book. In any case, any closing shots on the terrible decision of Gillette?
One thing I did want to mention, I heard somewhere that part of the $8 billion losses was due to the fact that they made some sort of investments in currency shifts actually accounted for part of that. So it might not have been 100% just due to the ad campaign.
Yeah, it's a factor in, not the entirety of.
Yeah.
So
I'm foggy on the details, but I thought that was like a part of it.
Yeah, a large part of it also was that they really have some difficult competitors they're going up against, and it says many factors combined together. But the CEO says definitely one of the factors that resulted in this drop was the ad campaign, but it was not the totality of it, like you said.
It'd be funny if they decided to like lurch to the other direction, trying to compensate for these losses, and they're like, now we're going to do an ad campaign like MAGA razors, like only like the razors that Trump would shave with if he ever needed to shave, or something like that, and just alienate both sides of the political spectrum entirely, and all their efforts at pandering.
They did do a video.
Macho blades, not for bitches.
They did go on to make an ad that was just it was a American soldier. It was all manly, and it was a all white family. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. I'm assuming it was because the how cognizant they were of social justice culture in the previous ad. I'm assuming that they were shooting for a certain demographic with this one. I'm like, okay, this doesn't make up for it. It feels like now you're pandering.
So they are trying to pander simultaneously to both opposite sides of the political spectrum, I guess.
It just doesn't work that way.
Seems a bit ill-advised.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, if their goal is to make each side angry at them, it'll probably work fantastic.
If that was the goal, in which case that was a genius move. But I think it boils down to going woke and getting broke, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, they just said that also beards are coming back in fashion. That totally explained it. Which means that they really wasted their time appealing to the soy beard section of the populace.
They really should just market to people who actually use razors. So people who work in business, or we wear a tie and tend to be shaved, or the military actually is a great one. People who are forced to shave every day. They have no choice. Market to them instead of attacking masculinity, which is something that they actually take pretty seriously.
It just feels weird. Like, I remember back when ads used to be like, if you want to buy this razor, this is a very good razor, Gillette. And now it's just like, so you want to buy this razor? Here's the correct opinion for you to have.
Heretic.
It's like, when did I almost miss the old advertising where they just tried to lie to you about how good their product was? At least they were just trying to like honestly deceive you back then. Now they're just like trying to tell you how virtuous they are and how terrible you are, and then they're like, now give me money. It's like, okay.
You mean back when ads for products were about trying to tell you how the product was good and how other products were bad? When the goal of the ad was to sell you a product rather than to sell you a system of morals?
Yeah. Retro marketing.
Crazy.
Yes, from Gillette, the best the man can get, to Gillette, scrape your patriarchal bastard face with this.
All right, let's do the next story.
Mexico has a serial killer named the Toy Man. Apparently, someone in northern Mexico has gotten tired of Grand Theft Auto, a crime that has become commonplace in Mexico. Authorities there are investigating 5 killings across 3 different neighborhoods in the city of, Culiacan.
Sure.
I'm going to assume. That are believed to have been carried out by a single vigilante.
Wow. So the local media and residents say that the vigilante they dubbed the Toy Man has killed 5 car thieves since 4 August. He's been busy. That's a lot in a short amount of time. Each of these victims apparently was tortured, and then after he killed them, he placed toy cars on their bodies. The number of cars placed on their corpses was reported by the Daily Wire as signifying the number of cars that they had stolen. So not only did he kill them, he also apparently researched them enough to know their crimes and where to find them. Jeez.
Wow. So the thing I'm wondering right off the top is, are we dealing with a Matchbox man or a Hot Wheels fan?
Well, now you mention it, Matchbox responded to this news by expanding their supply of Hot Wheel cars in the Mexican stores.
Oh, wow.
Having your car stolen really sucks, but this is a whole new level of visceral reaction to that. I just sense there's a tragic backstory here. Like, I don't know, his daughter was choking on a wishbone, and they were going to go to the hospital, but the car was stolen, and they called the hospital, but the ambulance got stolen. And at some point, he just decided he would avenge her.
So he's kind of like the car Batman, the car man. He lost his parents in a tragic car theft, and now he's doing his own vigilante justice across Mexico.
So he's kind of like John Wick, except over like a Toyota Camry.
Dexter for car thieves, as hero protagonist suggests, and I suppose so.
I think you guys would talk me into thinking this is a great movie.
You know, if they ever catch the
Slowpoke
guy,
Garcia.
and it could be a fantastic documentary,
I mean,
docudrama.
If what's his name, Tarantino, if he made the movie, it'd be great for sure. Slowpoke Garcia says, "Slowpoke razors for the man who shaves his head and covers his head when he's with the boys in the dead of night." I'm not sure what that means, but I assume it's something dirty because it's Slowpoke. Just making a rash judgment here. Sorry, Slowpoke. All right. If you guys are watching this and you're enjoying the content, please drop us a follow. And we also enjoy the donations. For every $2 donation, you get an entry into the raffle for the Dreamkeepers comic. Which brings us to our next story, I believe, which starts with me. So, un momento, por favor. All right. So, I got a video lined up. This week was absolutely fantastic for anyone that is a fan of watching CNN. I don't mean watching them on TV, for as you all know, their ratings, well, they don't have any ratings, and no one watches them. No, I mean watching them, the unending train wreck of decline that their organization has become. This week's train wreck started with CNN's primetime anchor, Chris Cuomo, the dumber of the Cuomo brothers, who was called Fredo in public. Here was his reaction.
Oh, I've seen
Before I do that, let me go and share my screen with you guys so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, here we go.
No, punk ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN.
You're much.
Fredo is from The Godfather. He was that weak brother.
Isn't that your
and
brother?
they use it as an Italian aspersion. Any of you Italian?
I gotta
It's a fucking insult to your people. It's an insult to your fucking people. It's like the N-word for us. Is that a cool fucking thing?
You're a much more reasonable guy in person than you seem to be on television.
Yeah, but if you want to play, then we'll fucking play. If you got something you want to say about what I do on television, then say it. But don't call me a
Hey
fucking
man,
insult.
hey, listen.
What?
I don't want any problems.
Yeah, you're gonna have a big fucking problem.
What's the
It's a
problem?
little different on TV. Don't fucking insult me like that.
I didn't insult you. I
Fuck,
asked
you call me Fredo. It's like I call you punk bitch. You like that? You want that to be your nickname?
I didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not fucking Fredo.
I thought your name was.
You did not think my name was fucking Fredo. Don't be a liar. You want to be a man, stand up like a man.
I'm standing up,
You
man.
want to be a man, I'm here. Then fucking own it. Then own what you
Listen,
said.
man, hey,
then own what you said.
Listen,
Take
man,
them-
I don't
yeah,
have a
what?
problem with you,
Yeah,
man.
you're gonna have a fucking problem.
What? What are you gonna do about it?
I'll fucking ruin
Do
your
something
shit.
then.
I'll
Do
fucking
something.
throw you down these stairs like a
something.
fucking punk.
Please do.
Why? So
Why?
you
You
can
don't wanna
fucking
do
sue?
that. You don't wanna
So you
do
can fucking sue?
Well, why don't you do it
Go
then?
take a swing. You want to call me Fredo? Take a fucking swing.
not gonna swing
Take
at
a
you.
fucking swing.
I'm
Watch
not
your
gonna
fucking hands. I'm not gonna take a swing. Watch your
No shit.
Take a swing. Come on, boy. Come on, boy. So you want to call me shit? Call me shit then.
Listen,
I'm
man,
right
I'm
fucking
not-
here.
He's gotta be a
I'll fucking wreck your
macho,
shit.
macho
I'll fucking
man.
wreck your shit. You didn't know what you were doing when
I
you
thought
called
it
me
was your
Fredo?
name, man.
You didn't know.
I thought it was your name.
You didn't know, right? Hey, you didn't know what you were saying, right?
I thought it was his name.
I'm
breaking it up. I'm breaking it up. This is my buddy. Hey, look at all these cameras.
All right. So let's make some quick contrast here, right? Cuomo is not the first public figure to get confronted by someone who doesn't like him. It happens all the time. In fact, we have groups of people harassing Republican senators and congressmen all the time, and they usually are quiet and just walk away. Don't get themselves dirty with the people that are playing in the mud, right? They're above it. Freaking, what's his name? There's one guy who was chased out of a restaurant. He and his wife chose to leave the restaurant rather than ruin everyone's dinner. That's one reaction. Or you can make a complete ass of yourself. I'm not saying that the guy who confronted him and called him Fredo wasn't trying to get a reaction. Obviously he was. He didn't really think his name was Fredo. He was trying to insult him. But it's one guy compared to a crowd of people yelling out insults, calling you a Nazi. I think there's a clear distinction between his response and what other people have done. And this is a far less mature response.
Yeah.
Well, if you want a reaction, it was a great success!
I'm wholly overreaction, Batman. That's all I have to say, because I have been in arguments where people have tried to go around the word I know they wanted to use on Twitter, and I said, I believe the racial epithet you're reaching for is spick. Go ahead, you can say it. It doesn't offend me. Like, hello, I know you're going there. But this guy, you call him Fredo, he freaks out. I'm like, dude, the only thing Fredo ever did for me was make me afraid to say the damn Hail Mary full of grace prayer without looking over my shoulder to get my head blown off.
You know what's even worse is he called himself Fredo in a previous broadcast live on television. So, I mean, he brought it up months ago.
Oh, yes, and there are recordings of them calling all sorts of public figures Fredo, I believe most notably Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So was it an Italian slur when he was calling the Jewish guy Fredo in the past, or is it just an Italian slur now? It's not an Italian slur to call someone Fredo.
I don't know, but I mean, I think he's just overreacting. I think Fritos are delicious.
They are great.
Well, a few things I noted in that recording is that he says that he's an anchor on CNN, but that's not what it sounded like to me. When I first heard this, I could have sworn he said he was an actor on CNN, and then I had to go, is there a difference?
Right?
Does it matter what he actually said?
No. Hey, we got a ice cream from The Win 94. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
As far as I'm concerned, he's Fredo Cuomo now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And as can be seen in the video, Fredo gave a staggering 26 fucks about the nickname, even going so far as to compare it to other racial slurs, like the N-word. This comparison is clearly absurd and warrants zero consideration. The word's actual origin is again from the movie The Godfather, in which the clearly dumber brother thinks of himself as smart, while continuously screwing things up. When asked about how he felt about being compared to a dumb person, Fredo Cuomo had this to say.
I'm smart, the brother, Mike, and I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over. It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect. I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped.
Oh, jeez. In any case. Oop, moved too far. So, sure you are, Fredo. Sure you are. You're super smart. Definitely not the idiot. Not to be outdone, worst journalist of the year, Don Lemon, is being sued by a man claiming that the black hole expert sexually assaulted him in a bar last year. The alleged victim claims that Lemon approached him and put his hand down his front of his shorts, his own shorts, and vigorously rubbed his genitalia, and then removed his hand and put his fingers under the victim's nose while repeatedly asking, "Do you like pussy or do you like dick?" Classy.
Lemon denies the pound me too allegations, but experts say that the level of discomfort the victim claims to have experienced in the encounter was at least on par with the discomfort felt while watching Lemon's show every night, so it seems the accusation is at least plausible.
Bringing home the trifecta, CNN's political analyst April Ryan showed the boys how it's done. She didn't stop at making idle threats to throw someone down the stairs or commit alleged sexual assault at a bar. No, she went full Gestapo on a rival journalist, having her security guards forcibly eject him from an event that she was speaking at. While this actually happened last week, the stunning video of the event was released this week. Here's the short clip of what happened. If it plays. Hey, I own the website. This is CNN's website. Or Fox News, sorry. Fox News fix your website.
Faux news! Get your stuff together, man.
Maybe if I hit reload.
I'm not sure this is showing on the stream.
Well, yeah, it's definitely wasn't playing. 1 second. At 20 seconds. So she said that when she speaks, that news don't report on her. So she's a journalist, right? She reports on other people when they're talking. And she says, well, when I'm giving a speech, I'm not going to let the news report on me. What kind of hypocrisy is that? And in that part of the video, you saw her bodyguard just pushing the guy with his camera out the door. So the thing is, that is hotel lobby, right? She doesn't own it. She wasn't renting the lobby or the entire hotel. And he had written permission to be there. So maybe the security of the actual hotel can eject someone. But a guard for someone who has rented one of the rooms which they're using for a conference does not have the right to eject someone from someone else's hotel.
Well, I mean, unless he pushes really hard.
No.
Someone feels they're a little princess, clearly.
Yes.
Charlie Carterville of New Brunswick Today was covering her event and filming her speech with a tripod-mounted camera alongside several other journalists also filming the event. After checking his credentials, April's guards tried to grab his camera and lift him out of his seat. April was able to clearly see him from the stage and said nothing as she watched him being violently dragged out of the auditorium. After he was taken away, she said to the crowd, "When I speak, I don't have news covering my speech." Ironically, she has repeatedly called out the president for violating press freedoms when he calls CNN fake news, but using force intimidation tactics to literally attack other press reporters is apparently A-OK in her book. After all, she's special.
And what's the point of giving him, written permission, like so via email, approval to come as a journalist? Tell him he can come and he can shoot video, right? Why would they do that if they're then going to just kick him out later? Right?
That was his mistake, though, was asking for permission. It would have been fine if he showed up unannounced, dressed as Antifa. He would have been probably welcomed in with open arms. He could have done anything he wanted at that point.
You're so right. He should have gone there with a group of his closest intersectional friends, all dressed the same, so you can be different. They could just give him all the money at the desk here, give him all the rooms, anything they want to steal. I mean, free
provided he was clubbing someone, they probably would have let him also film.
Yes, probably.
Because clearly he wasn't wearing the right camouflage.
Yeah.
Right. I think we worked out the mystery to politics. We just need to take action on it. I think we've solved all of our political problems. Violence is the answer the whole time.
I am looking forward to the Antifa debates being televised. I think that's going to be very enlightening.
Yes, agreed.
If you wear amateur ninja costumes, the police can't see you.
Yes, just don't play the drinking game of every time they say Nazi, take a shot because you will die. Anyways, it is a troubling time. It seems to that the only employee that hasn't caused any controversy for CNN this week is CNN's contributor, Richard Spencer. In fact, using CNN's own high journalistic standards, Dire Wolf Media has received exclusive breaking news from an anonymous source that told us that CNN is now considering giving CNN contributor Richard Spencer his own show in a desperate bid to double their ratings with nearly 36 total viewers that they could bring to the table. That last part was a joke. No, Richard Spencer is not getting a show yet, but he is a contributor on CNN.
Gotta get them ratings, yo.
Oh, jeez. All right, next story.
Carlos Maza gets fired from Vox.
Oh, no.
In a case of sweet irony, Vox propagandist Carlos Maza, the person who single-handedly got thousands of YouTube creators demonetized, appears to have been fired. Carlos gained infamy and our collective scorn when he petitioned to have Steven Crowder demonetized for mocking him in responding to Carlos' videos. He organized a campaign to harass YouTube advertisers because they refused to ban Steven Crowder. Carlos attacked the livelihood of the platform that provides a large portion of the income for Vox, the company that Maza worked for.
Thank you very much, hero protagonist, for the diamond. It's very much appreciated. So Vox gets a lot of money from posting their videos on YouTube. They likely have some sort of special business contract with Vox that has been put in jeopardy by Maza's actions. Vox initially supported Maza, but it appears they don't anymore, as he refused to give up on his continuous attacks on YouTube, the platform that they depend on, calling them anti-LGBT, even after they caved and demonetized Crowder, after at first saying if they demonetized Crowder, they'd have to demonetize every other offensive comedian on both sides of the political spectrum, and that wouldn't make sense. But they ended up demonetizing Crowder anyways. Vox has publicly stated that they are negotiating a severance package with Maza, and Maza has removed all references to being employed by Vox from his social media. A severance package, by the way, is not given to someone who quits a job. It's given to someone who is fired. So clearly Maza has been fired, and it's probably because of all the damage he's done to Vox with his little campaign against Steven Crowder.
Not only that, there's scuttlebutt going around YouTube that a whole bunch of LGBT people are getting ready to sue YouTube and Google because a lot of LGBT.
Hello? I think she's
yes.
She's good. Okay. You dropped out middle of sentence.
My internet. I'm getting ready to throw this router out the window. The LGBT section of YouTube is getting ready to sue YouTube and Google because a lot of prominent LGBT creators have been demonetized.
Wow.
And you know them, they have to play that good old, victim card and say it's only them being demonetized when we know it's not only them.
I mean, it also them is when you call to have censorship, right, of any kind of offensive or even just things that are controversial. When you call for censorship of that, most people on the left don't realize it's going to apply to them. Like when they call for censorship of Steven Crowder, they don't realize that the same stuff they say on the left would also be censored, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they found out recently, there was a study, that the algorithms that YouTube and Google use actually hits people who are black or minority status more often because, for whatever reason, more people who are not white are saying things that are considered offensive out of context, right?
Yep.
And so they're saying, oh, well, the algorithm is racist. No, it's not racist. It's the terms you set of this word or this topic is offensive is discussed more or used more in those communities on average.
Strictly speaking, it's because they can't program the algorithm to be sufficiently racist, but in the right way.
Right. They then tried with people.
Some way to be racist, y'all.
And when they used people who were told no context, they still came out with, and no knowledge of the race of the person, in their opinion, racist outcome because there's still more of the topics they wanted to avoid or to restrict still were being discussed by those communities. So then they started saying, okay, we got to look at actual context, which means if the person's black and they use the N-word, now it's okay. And then they got 11% improvement in making it more equal, but still, it was still considered to be racist because of the imbalance of outcomes. These guys don't understand that it's not racist if there's a disparity, or sexist if there's a disparity of outcomes, is because the context is different. People make different choices, right?
Wait, are they actually treating people differently based on their race to avoid racism?
Yes, they are. That's the second point I was going to hit to. That their answer for a racist data set, which is based on just the data they put in there, was to be racist.
Well, this is going to end well.
Right. When the solution is racism, it can never end well.
And especially with like the whole censorship thing coming back around to bite the groups that were originally advocating for it. It's like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon, except there's no Roadrunner. It's just everyone just gets blown up constantly.
It's a circular firing squad, I believe.
Yep.
Yep. It's ridiculous.
The most just of firing squads.
It's like we're going to complain about these people saying this thing about it.
You dropped out again.
Do something about it. And the same group is like, why are you doing it to us?
Yeah, the thing is, there's this a never-ending purity cycle where the left is going to, with intersectionalities, tear itself apart. It inherently all that ideology does is just continue to divide into smaller and smaller groups and pitting every group against each other.
Isn't that the key to politics, though? Well, wasn't it like Reagan said, like you have to get as small of a tent as possible, something like that?
I think it's the opposite of what you need to do.
Oh, well, I'm sure it'll still work.
Yeah, right.
And certainly a circular firing squad, it just dawns on me, is truly the most intersectional of firing squads.
Yes, absolutely.
Objectively, in every way.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's do the next story. How about that?
Pound Moo 2. Our next story is about Pound Moo 2, not the Moo 2 campaign that went around this week that claimed the dairy industry is just the rape of cows on an industrial scale, because that's just stupid. No, while that absurd hashtag was going around, there was an actual case of Moo 2 that was not reported on.
That's right. A little known fact is that cows on dairy farms in the U.S., by the way, go up to the automatic milkers willingly because they get uncomfortable with the being gorged with milk, and they just go up to those things. There's no person forcing the milkers onto them. They walk in and get milked and then walk away. It's all automated. And they choose to walk in when they're full. So there is consent. There actually is consent from the cow, believe it or not. However, one cow that didn't consent was assaulted near the U.S. border, and an illegal immigrant by the name of Jose Neo, that's a cool name, after a long trip to sneak across the U.S. border, apparently he got a bit horny. So horny, in fact, that he decided to make love to the first living thing he found. I am sure you can imagine how shocked the Border Patrol were when they caught him in the act. They arrested him for illegal entry and also bestiality. 2 separate charges.
2 forms of
double legal entry.
Legal entry twice.
So do I have to be the one to say it, but the Border Patrol must have really had a cow?
Well, the problem was that he had a cow.
It was going to happen. Someone just had to be the fall man for that pun, and I took the bullet.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
He found the first thing that he saw across the border utterly irresistible.
Oh.
From bad to worse.
Would you believe it or not? This is actually not the first cow rape story that popped up when I Googled it.
Oh my God.
There's been several. I'm just kind of shocked by that. I didn't think it was a thing. Apparently it is. but I'm very horrified. So the Border Patrol later released Jose on a $1,500 bond. That was at the end of the story. I was kind of shocked by that. Why? No cows in Texas are safe. Why would you do that? You unleashed the cow rapist upon the state.
On one hand, it seems like it'd be hard to believe that such a large animal would just stand there. But then again, I have seen a few episodes of Dr. Paul, veterinarian, and
are you blaming the victim? Are you saying it wanted it? Was it wearing the wrong clothes? Director?
I'm saying that it probably didn't even notice what was going on.
Oh. Oh. So you're saying he wasn't very well endowed. Okay, gotcha.
I'm saying that there's probably not a mortal alive who is.
Where did an illegal alien get $1,500?
Maybe the cow paid him.
So really, it was the cow's fault. No one arrested the cow. I mean that the cow was also having sex with a human. Is that also not wrong?
Yeah, it's true. That cow is still at large.
Right. He could be assaulting God knows how many humans right now.
Although if that happens, I'm going to get really cheesed off.
Well, it has to stay mobile and move to the next checkpoint. Somebody into it. Sorry. I'll hush now.
Our jokes are getting terrible.
I think we milk this as much as we can.
Okay, that was a good way to end it.
ICE protesters, docks guards, actual shots fired. On last Tuesday, two ICE facilities, thankfully, located in San Antonio, Texas, were targeted with indiscriminate gunfire by an unknown assailant. A shooter fired into the 14th floor of one building that houses several businesses, showing they're purposely targeting ICE. Thankfully, though, one person was injured, no one was shot.
Yes. This event is just the most recent in the violent consequences of Democratic rhetoric about ICE. When we have AOC calling for detention centers concentration camps, implying ICE officers are Nazis. When we have Democrats saying that ICE officers are racist, that are caging and torturing kids. It is no wonder that people that believe these lies end up attacking ICE officers. It is because of the demonization of ICE that there have been 4 attacks on ICE facilities in the last month alone. Among them was one in San Antonio, Texas, one in Washington, D.C., one in Tacoma, Washington, and one in Aurora, Colorado.
The ICE Field Office Director for San Antonio, Daniel Bible, said politicians, media outlets, and activist groups for recklessly sharing information and misinformation to the public.
Yeah, that's the fact. So fake news has consequences. They've said themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And they have to know that they're what they're causing, and they want this kind of reaction. How are they not being held accountable for their incitement of violence? In some particular cases, it's kind of hard to say they are actually inciting violence, but some of them, it's pretty clear they are. They usually, like AOC, walk the line of implying things without actually making a call to violence. But some of the less articulate politicians on the Democrat Party are pretty blunt about it.
Yep, about as blunt as a club.
Yeah, we had what's his name? Sean King, who praised the attack on one ICE facility and the attempted bombing of that facility, which would have also killed the detainees there, by the way. He praised them, said he was a hero, basically, and encouraged more attacks like it. That is a call to violence. Why is this person not arrested? Is it because he thinks he's black? Is it because he's on the left? Is it because he's a Democrat, quote-unquote journalist? Why does he have special status, when he's making calls to violence? But then they say Trump is making calls to violence when he says there is some good people on both sides, but the white nationalists, they're evil and should be condemned.
Yeah, it's a double standard.
Well, obviously, that's double standard. They said that he's being racist when he says, yeah, there were some people who weren't white nationalists that were there, and there were some people who weren't Antifa that were there. That's a true statement when he was talking about Charlottesville. That's not a racist comment. They keep saying that his rhetoric is making calls to violence, but they ignore people on their side that are literally making calls to violence.
Yeah, they do that, and then they constantly take him out of context. Like they constantly bring up the animals quote, and they leave out conveniently that he's referencing MS-13, and they're trying to get everybody to think that he's referencing all illegal aliens that are crossing the border, or all immigrants that are going to, the ports of entry in order to file for asylum, in hopes that they will get asylum in the country. And it's not, everybody with half a brain knows that amongst what he said was the fact that he was talking about the MS-13 gang, which are actual animals and don't really care about human life.
Yeah, are we defending MS-13 now? Is that who we're defending now?
It's like they seem to be defending the Mexicans animals. No, pay attention. They do, but they selectively leave things out on purpose.
They also leave out the fact that he's repeatedly praised immigrants from many countries, including Mexico, that came here illegally, and saying how they've added to our society, and they're good for our country. And that the problem with the immigrants coming across the border is that they're coming across illegally. They present a security risk because we don't know who is coming across and what they're bringing, what crimes they might, whether they're criminal or not. And generally, if you're a criminal, that's the way you cross the border, right?
Yep.
So what you're saying is the guys who shot at the ICE offices crossed the border illegally.
I would have no evidence of that.
I'm not saying, but it would be interesting if that was true.
It's possible, but I mean, it just is equally possible that it's one of the far left, middle class white guys that are part of Antifa. Then again, if he's part of Antifa, then his crimes are absolved.
Well, they're not crimes because if that's true, then you're just a good person.
Right, automatically. Anything you do is good because might makes right. Moving on.
We're approaching a triple standard. It's a phenomenon I never thought possible before.
Oh my god. Anyways, we'll move on to the next story. Any closing shots? All right.
Well, we need to secure the borders and streamline the methods of legal entry because we need to be sure whether or not someone wants to come to America for business opportunities, to integrate with the community, or if they're just after our sexy, sexy bovines.
You know what? He said that some of the people coming across the border were rapists. It's true. They're coming after our cows. We gotta do something. Otherwise, all our cows will get raped.
Oh, no. Here's how we soak those people up. We just throw one furry convention right on the border, and that's the honeypot to draw them all in.
Oh, no. It's an answer's been in front of us the entire time. AOC's Green New Deal called for the murdering of all the cows. That would take away the incentive for the Mexican illegal immigrants to come here.
Cow farts.
Right? No cows, no illegal immigration. It solved itself.
There you go.
I'll do my part. I'll start eating more steak tomorrow.
Yes, everyone eats steaks. We must kill all the cows. That's the only way to stop illegal immigration. Oh, jeez.
Let's now move on to the Philadelphia.
We're not shut down? Wow. All right.
Hey, it's early in the stream yet. Philadelphia cop shooting. Last Saturday, local police attempted to issue a drug warrant to a 36-year-old man in Philadelphia. That man, armed with several guns, including an AR-15, opened fire, shooting in total of 6 police officers over an 8-hour standoff. 2 police officers, as well as some civilians, were also trapped on the second floor of the residence during the standoff.
Oh no, he had the scary black gun, the AR-15, the automatic rifle 15. That's how you know the story is extra scary. Near the end of the standoff, after ignoring police hostage negotiators for a long time, the shooter ended up calling his lawyer. Yes, he called his lawyer, not his lawyer called him, who advised him to surrender after figuring out who he was. When the SWAT team arrived, they managed to free the hostages and force the shooter to surrender after using tear gas.
There were two notable reactions from government officials directly after the event. First, Police Chief McSwain criticized the anti-police culture of the community that he blamed on the recently elected Democrat district attorney. Wait, what?
Attorney, yes.
There is video of the police officers responding to the shooting, being harassed and heckled by members of the community.
Yes. So he's saying the recently elected Democrat attorney had been bad-mouthing the police and saying that they're racist and that they're corrupt and that it is that kind of sentiment that is building up hate towards the police in general. It was visible when the police are just trying to walk through the crowd to where the shooting was happening, and they're being heckled and mocked on the way up there. They're coming there trying to do their job to protect the community, and the community hates them, clearly. And they're like, hey, people are willing to, shoot the police, or more willing to shoot the police because our government leaders are calling them racist and corrupt. The police chief, McSwain, said at a press conference, there is a new culture of disrespect for law enforcement. I don't think it's all that new, but it's definitely worse. In this city that unfortunately promoted and championed by the district attorney, Larry Krasner, and I am fed up with it. McSwain said, and now we've endured for a year and a half the worst kind of slander against law enforcement, with the DA routinely calling police and prosecutors corrupt and racist, and most recently comparing them to war criminals and comparing them to Nazis.
The mayor took a different approach and called for sweeping gun restrictions at both the state and federal level. He said, our officers deserve to be protected and they don't deserve to be shot at by a guy for hours with an unlimited supply of weapons and limited supply of bullets. It's disgusting and we've got to do something about it. Quickly!
It wasn't unlimited. He did have an actual number of bullets.
It's fascinating.
I
didn't know we had a magic gun or a magic armory. And
he unlocked the cheat codes. Haven't you ever played Doom, like the God codes? That's what he must have done.
It's called a Hollywood clip. You never run out of bullets. It's a Hollywood clip.
Oh, shit.
Ban the Konami code right this minute!
So we need to put a ban on cheat codes. Got it. Make them illegal. Unlimited bullets no longer permitted.
They're already illegal, though. That's why they're called cheat codes.
Yeah, make that a law. I would love for this guy to pass a law that says no more unlimited bullets. Cool. I'll just have 1,000.
I also love how his description was disgusting. Like, I know whenever I hear about a mass shooting, that's my reaction is, ew.
Yeah. This guy also blamed the NRA because somehow this is the NRA's fault.
Okay, sure. Why not? It's a Wednesday.
Again,
yeah.
Well,
I agree. Something does need to be done about this. The shooter has a rap sheet 12 pages long with charges including burglary, aggravated assault, and taunting of a police animal. That poor doggo. According to the police, the gun this guy had shouldn't have been legally owned with that kind of violent criminal history. And if for some reason they were legally purchased, that's a failure of the state allowing it, in my opinion. That doesn't make sense it doesn't make sense to remove guns from good people who don't have criminal history, who aren't violent criminals. But this guy probably shouldn't have been permitted to have the gun in the first place. And if he wasn't permitted and he got it illegally, then any law you pass wouldn't have stopped him from getting the gun.
Nope.
Follow?
Yes. So, in response to a man illegally possessing guns and using them to further his crime endeavors, the mayor's solution is to try to take away more legal guns. Because that sure to work. And furthermore, this is really interesting because isn't it the standpoint of Swalwell and certain other Ventos witlings in office to say that, well, you don't need your AR-15s and those small guns. I mean, you're going up against professional armed police departments and military. What good could they possibly do you? Well, this random thug just showed them.
Yeah. Also, Shit Meme Dank Post said, "Don't call the cops. Rely on Antifa because when they show up, they'll be morally right. It's okay."
I'm all for sending Antifa in to sort out these problems.
Yeah. I'm not sure they'd really do much to sort it out. Probably.
Oh, either way, a problem gets solved.
You know,
we needed David Hogg on the scene, man. David Hogg needed to be on the scene, just hollering about gun control. Wait.
Yeah, you know, so Trump is trying to pull out troops from Afghanistan. Great on that. But, you know, just before we do that, we could solve a lot of our problems by just enlisting forcibly against their will, breaking their constitutional rights, all of Antifa into the military and just sending them downrange and let them learn some life lessons. We got a $5 donation from Slowpoke saying, "Swalwell, Daddy, give me your nuclear cummies." Thank you for that. I'm glad I read that out loud. As a Slowpoke thing. Thank you very much for the $5. 2 more entries. All right. So, any closing shots on that shooting story?
I feel like the story was incomplete. They didn't tell us if it was ICE agents. They didn't tell us if anyone was Antifa. So the moral landscape is skewed until I know those details.
Yeah, we don't know if he's a left-leaning guy or a right-leaning guy because I wasn't willing to make it up when I wrote the story. You know, I like to just go with the facts, what we know.
You mean you have integrity? Holy crap!
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
It's like, you don't know if it's right or wrong just based on what they did and the facts. You got to know, well, which side were they on? Were they on my political side or then you know.
Yeah. So I really should have either made it up so it was, it fit my narrative, or waited till it did fit my narrative and then talked about it. One of the two. My apologies, guys. I'll work better on next story.
You don't even have to work at it. Just get a preset list of bullet points, a preset list of talking points, and anytime anyone somewhere is suffering in the news, just belt them out. It doesn't matter if they apply. Just if you're loud enough, people will hear it.
You know what I could do? I could do what they do for Trump, and I possibly could do it to Trump because it doesn't matter morally anymore as long as I'm getting attention. That's the goal, right? Just take whatever he says, no matter what he tweets, and just somehow say it's bad or somehow proves he's racist. It doesn't matter what he says. He can post out a cool video of, or a cute video of an elephant baby being saved by its elephant parents, and I could say this is proof he's racist.
Yeah, as long as the bullet points never change and there's never any thought process from the thing that happened to your bullet point, because that just wastes people's time with like a rational chain of logical, just get rid of all that, spew out that bullet point, your job is done.
Exactly. Sounds perfect. I should start doing this immediately. And with the next story, the update on Jeffrey Epstein. Oh.
Ooh.
So there have been a few things that have happened or been confirmed since our last covering of this story.
Is he feeling better?
He's doing much better.
Okay.
So he's been confirmed by security cameras that the 2 people on guard duty apparently fell asleep and did not do their checks on Epstein. They later came back and falsified the documents to say that they had done their checks, but it was proven they didn't. Also, one of the guards was not in fact a guard at all and was, in quotations, a jail employee, but not a guard. Is the janitor? I'm not sure what that means. They didn't expand upon it. And the other guard apparently was new and untrained, and apparently you need training to know not to fall asleep. That sounds like a great excuse. The coroner, another update, has concluded that the death was a suicide, and because that's the official report, everyone immediately believed it. Not. Right. And that he also found that there was multiple broken bones in the neck, including the hyoid bone, the bone that is underneath or around the Adam's apple, which is usually more likely to be broken during strangulation rather than hanging when you're just leaning forward and hanging yourself like he did like Epstein did. Maybe if you're hung and you drop from a distance, or someone is actually strangling you, that's more common to break the hyoid hyoid bone. But usually when you're just applying pressure to the neck, it doesn't break it. So a lot of people are pretty suspicious. Also by the phrase multiple bones. So usually not a bunch of bones break when you're just hanging yourself. It implies it was pretty violent.
Yeah.
Well, I think the description of this is really violent, though. Didn't he, like, kneel and also lean? That, to me, could do a lot of damage.
Kneeling and leaning. That sounds like the most violent way to choke yourself to death.
I'm surprised his head is still on.
Right.
Well, it's like the old-fashioned hangings where they would, grab someone and put them on a bedpost and just lean them forward slightly.
Yeah. Most people when they're, trying to hang themselves don't scream out in agony for hours.
No.
Yeah. Odd.
Well, at least they weren't screaming that loud. You don't want to wake people up.
Yeah, and that doesn't really explain the whole breathe, Epstein, breeze thing. I'm sure that they're going to work that into the story somehow, somewhere later on. The warden at the jail has been temporarily reassigned. The two quote-unquote guards were put on administrative leave. So obviously they didn't do their jobs. That doesn't surprise me at all. The investigation into Epstein's co-conspirators is ongoing, and the prosecutors are moving to invalidate the immunity that was given to the co-conspirators during the Epstein case. Because originally they were just going to try to go for Epstein and maybe a few people connected to him, and they were going to give immunity so people could give testimony about what they did, but just implicate Epstein and not implicate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now anyone who already had given testimony where they would have implicated themselves as well, they're now able to be prosecuted. So we may still have some people who are going to be punished for what happened with the whole pedophile island.
Like, I'm glad of that in this circumstance, but still, for future reference, I'm kind of filing that little gem away that if they give you immunity, like at any point later on, they can be like, oh, well, never mind.
Yes, that's an important thing to remember. Apparently, the immunity that was only given so you could prosecute against an individual person, but if that person dies, that immunity dies with them, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't realize that immunity was sort of like, oh, we'll give you immunity until we decide not to.
Right.
Well,
that is
they said they're moving to invalidate. Is that a guarantee they'll actually be able to do it? Fingers crossed, of course.
I think this might be a landmark case, because honestly, I've never heard of this before.
No, I haven't either.
So I guess we'll be learning something here soon. It is just an update.
Fingers crossed.
So it was the deal that we will give you immunity if you prosecute against this person, and if that person dies, then that part of the contract dies. Is that how they're going to argue it? I guess.
I guess. I mean, that would be the way.
Yeah, I think
for somebody's testimony.
I would just argue it by saying we're really angry. You're screwed.
Two Griffin, the guy who has one too many Griffins for this show. Sorry, he had a great comment. He said that, hey, can we all just be happy that a pedophile ringleader died? Yeah, I'm happy about that.
I mean, I'm sure there's a few other billionaires that are also very happy that he happened to fortuitously die before he could provide any evidence on them.
I'm happy he died, but I still kind of want to get everyone else, that was involved.
Yeah.
Kind of the overriding issue there. His death celebrated by a lot of really bad people.
Yes.
And for good reason. So it's a very, very small consolation prize overall.
Yes.
Unless, of course, they somehow managed to make good on it regardless.
It was a bad thing in its entirety until I heard they're going after the co-conspirators. Okay, so it's not all lost.
Yeah.
All right, next story.
One of my news streams. I needed a shower and a scouring afterwards because.
Mr. 47 snapped. I don't get that.
Epstein's neck.
Hitman game reference. Yeah.
I know, I'm a boomer.
I like to imagine that 47 wouldn't touch that particular bounty. Anyhow, Senate Democrats threaten SCOTUS. The Supreme Court. It's the third separate but co-equal branch of the government provided for by Article 3 of the Constitution. It's that separate part Senate Dems seem to have forgotten this week when they threatened the whole branch with restructuring if the court didn't vote to uphold an unconstitutional New York City law banning the transport of legally licensed, locked, and unloaded handguns anywhere in the city.
Yeah, that seems like they've kind of forgot they don't control the judiciary. What the hell? So the structure of the court was set by the Constitution, not by Congress, and the Congress can't just restructure it. That's insane that they think they have that power. The threat was made in the concluding paragraphs of a amici. I don't know how to pronounce that. How do you pronounce?
Amici Curiae.
Amici Curiae. I should have read this ahead of time. Which is Latin for. Why'd you say the Latin part then? Fuck you. Unsolicited opinion submitted to the court by Senate Democrats on Monday. Those Democrats included Mazi Hirino, a prominent Russiagate conspiracy theorist, Richard Blumenthal. Really? Blumenthal? A guy who lied about serving in the military to get elected. Holy shit. That's horrible. And Christian Gillibrand, who is currently polling at the margin of error in the DNC presidential nomination for the nomination. Honestly, one of the better candidates, though. Exactly the sort of all-star team you'd expect to be threatening to do something unconstitutional if they aren't allowed to do something unconstitutional. So I just realized that. Holy shit! They're just like, okay, if you don't let us take away your constitutional right to bear arms, we're going to violate the Constitution also, anyways, by changing the judiciary. Jeez Louise, you guys are messed up.
Honestly, it's like the Trump derangement syndrome has reached DEFCON levels at this point. It's like,
Trimmed anxiety disorder!
Holy shit.
All a tad nuts.
This is insane.
You know, we're used to seeing some pretty stupid people in office, but certainly that list featured a prominent name that I've seen many times now. Someone who cannot possibly do any original thinking of their own, Mazi Hirono. Every time I've seen them on a screen speaking their own words, it's been painful stupidity coming from someone who clearly has no idea how anything up to and including borders work.
Right.
It gives me hope. Like, maybe I could be a politician.
Yeah. I mean, there was one guy, I think, in New York who... no, it wasn't New York. It was a Democrat stronghold who... he was the first Democrat alphabetically, and he didn't know he'd won. And the reporters went to his mother's house to alert him, and they found him not very well dressed and high on pot and unaware he'd won. Yeah. At his mom's house.
Publishers Clearinghouse.
But he won.
Which makes me think this whole restructuring the Supreme Court. I mean, this could be pretty cool if you do it the right way. Like, what if you integrated like a bikini like runway model show, and like part of your opinion's weight in the vote would be judged based on that?
Oh my
god! Like, there could be a lot of fun features here, or maybe like if you're doing some kind of a vote based on the Second Amendment, like your proficiency at the range adds weight or decreases weight to your votes. You know, there could be fun stuff.
If you're talking about some sort of women's health issue, you got to have a wet T-shirt contest, and whoever has the best shirt, they get their opinion is the winning opinion.
Yeah, and if it's just like some sort of procedural issue, you could have a literal pissing contest.
Yes, this is great. You know what? I just take back all the things I said mean about this idea. I think we should restructure the Supreme Court. We could make it way more hilarious.
Yeah, and then you
know, and thus again, you see more evidence for Idiocracy being a documentary.
Why don't we just restructure the Congress while we're at it? Why don't we just make the House of Representatives Hunger Games? Bam.
I think that's a great idea.
Then, by the time the Hunger Games are done, we'll have to go from 550 some odd people to 10, and those 10 people decide. Way less discussion.
Like, if we
at least we know they're good at something.
Yeah, if we had just like 5 like beefed up pro wrestlers slay every other member of Congress, like they'd probably make better decisions, honestly.
No, I got this. Ready? You take a big stadium, you put all the representatives in a stadium that you've already mapped out in a maze, kind of like a battle arena. Give them paintballs and have them do a battle royale.
Oh yeah.
So, are we demonetized yet?
At least be entertaining. Most of the brief was poorly reasoned arguments as to why the court should uphold the ban, but knowing that those probably wouldn't be enough to get them over the finish line, the unsettled threat of consequences came in the final paragraph reading, "The Supreme Court is mainly motivated by politics. The Supreme Court is not well. Perhaps the court can heal itself before the public demands it be restructured in order to reduce the influence of politics, particularly on the urgent issue of gun control."
Dun, dun, dun.
So basically, in order to prove that you are not influenced by politics, we need you to make a politicized decision about a highly political issue, or else there will be political consequences. Truly, these are the best and brightest the Democrats have to offer. Not dishonest or bad faith at all. It is entirely absurd for one branch of government to threaten another with restructuring if it doesn't do what it wants. That is the whole point of having separate, co-equal branches of government. There are specific constitutional ways each can check the other, not attempting to control another branch through coercion if one doesn't do what the other one wants. The Supreme Court is supposed to be the check on Congress's power to create law. For Congress to threaten to restructure SCOTUS until they agree with them is ridiculous, unacceptable, and is a direct attack on the institution that America's Constitution, the institution of America's constitutional republic. If they were allowed to act on the threat, actually go through with this restructuring, the court, until it agrees with them, the check on the legislative power would be gone, and so would the republic. It is entirely stupid. By the way, if they want to change how the SCOTUS is deciding rulings, all they need to do is pass a law. How the judiciary works, how the Supreme Court works is, they say, does the situation, or how does it conform to the laws passed by Congress? And also, how does it apply to the Constitution? So Congress has the ability to pass laws that will then change the opinions of the court, or if it's affecting the Constitution, they actually can do a constitutional amendment. It takes a lot of the Congress, a majority of the country, because it's such a big, important change, but the Congress can change the Constitution and thus change the rulings of the court. But right now, the court is ruling on what the law currently says. How can you get mad at them for that?
It's easy, like this.
Well, hey, you've got a lovely Supreme Court of the United States here. It would be a terrible shame if something happened to it if you didn't uphold our constitutional ban.
Oh my gosh. I guess my mistake was trying to, be rational about it. I should be thinking with my emotions. That solves all our problems.
It'd be a real pity if we had to do some restructuring.
Can't reason with an unreasonable person.
I tell you what.
The brief didn't specify what restructuring meant, but the most obvious way would be to pack the court, meaning adding more seats to the court so that a potential Democrat president would be able to appoint enough new justices to sway the court's majority to one that would rubber stamp the Democrats' authoritarian agenda. This isn't exactly unprecedented, as the number of seats on the court has changed several times over the years, and typically been for political reasons, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good or acceptable thing. Currently, DNC candidates Beto, Booker, Warren, Harris, and Gillibrand have expressed a desire to expand and pack the court, with Buttigieg proposing an increase to 15 seats. But at this point, why stop at 15? Why not 31 or 547? Surely there's no reason not to go for 2,381.
Why not?
As long as I get a seat.
Right?
Hey, you know what? They should totally do it. Let's put 2,381 justices during Trump's reign. Then the Republicans would have it for the rest of the time.
I think that you just turned the Supreme Court into an online comment section.
Yes, we are the Supreme Court. Again, the Antifa answer. the loudest and most obnoxious people posting in response to a case are the ones that are right.
Right.
That's how it works.
That means we've got to be louder and more obnoxious in order for us to be heard and for people to think we're correct.
Oh, I love 2019. It's such a great generation.
Well, see, that would be easy to do. All you got to do is sway the Cuban population in the United States because we're naturally loud anyway, and we can shout anybody down when given the chance.
I suspect we'll try to do something democratic, with voting, so we can head towards that, making that one episode of the Orville reality. Right and wrong determined by upvotes to downvotes.
Right.
That would be horrible. That's kind of the direction we're going. So that's our future. So happy. This strategy fits in well with the current DNC playbook, of course. The Electoral College isn't going your way. Let's just restructure it. If it doesn't work for us, get rid of it. Supreme Court vote doesn't go our way. Add more seats to dilute the current ones. American citizens aren't voting for socialist policies. Restructure immigration policy and import new voters at will.
That's the only way to get rid of. It's the only way to get rid of fascism.
Exactly.
Have iron control over everything.
I'm just having the realization moment that every time something doesn't go the Democrats' way, no matter what it is, they're like, just throw it out and replace it. We can't play by the rules, so we'll make new rules that only benefit us.
I mean, that worked really great for a while with the whole filibuster limit in the Senate, and then it didn't.
Yeah, then they got rid of it.
Yeah.
It's clear the Democrats hold only contempt and disdain for America when the only way they are able to get any policies implemented is through using exploits and dismantling constitutional created entities and destroying our rights all along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Fun. Gotta love the politics.
God, you gotta love it. Jeez. It's like it's like ever since Trump's been in office, everybody has lost their frickin' mind in the House of Representatives. They forgot how laws work, how the three branches of government are supposed to operate.
They didn't stop.
Trump became president.
It's not like they don't know how. It's that they don't care, and they know that the general voter probably doesn't know how, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if this threat wasn't serious, and I think it is deadly serious, but even if it wasn't serious, people are it's gonna speak to their voters, right? Because their voters don't know they can't do this. They're like, oh yeah, wow, they're playing real hardball.
Yeah.
Yes, with a threat that could have been written by Fredo Corleone.
Yeah. What, the news anchor?
Yes, quite possibly.
All right.
Certainly, it was too many syllables for Mazi Hirono.
Anyways, next story.
Yeah.
Israel bars Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib from entering their country. This week there was a controversy over Democrat House Representative Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, who had planned to travel to Israel. On the 15th, Trump tweeted, "It would show great weakness if Israel allowed Rep. Omar and Rep. Tlaib to visit. They hate Israel and all Jewish people, and there is nothing that can be said or done to change their minds. Minnesota and Michigan will have a hard time putting them back in office. They are a disgrace."
Is it my imagination, or is someone helping Trump write his tweets now? I feel like the grammar is slightly better. Still has this feel to it, but it's less incoherent.
It's more refined, clearly.
Yeah, I think someone's helping him. I don't think that Trump would be telling I don't think that Trump should be telling any country who should be allowed into their country, first off. However, everything else he said was completely true. Omar and Tlaib are both supporters of the BDS movement, which, by the way, has nothing to do with sadomasochism. The movement advocates boycotting, divesting, and sanctions towards Israel. Yep. The two of them have made multiple anti-Semitic statements and closely associate themselves with known anti-Semites like Louis Farrakhan and Linda Sarsour. Both Ilhan Omar and Tlaib praised the terrorist group Hamas, accused Israeli troops of being war criminals for defending themselves and their people. These two women had on their itinerary only meetings with Israeli groups and plan to use their influence to subvert the nation of Israel. Of course, they would that would seem weak if Israel brought them in to let them subvert their country.
The deputy foreign minister and the prime minister of Israel, Netanyahu, whether to do pressure from Trump, or whether due to pressure from Trump, or because he agreed with Trump after seeing the itinerary, released a statement minutes after Trump's tweet saying that Omar and Tlaib were not going to be permitted entry. The prime minister said, "The plan of 2 congresswomen is only to damage Israel and ferment against Israel. Tlaib and Omar's itinerary revealed they planned a visit whose sole objective is to strengthen the boycott against us and deny Israel's legitimacy."
Omar responded to the decision Thursday by calling it an affront and an insult to the democratic values, and that Netanyahu was bringing Trump's Muslim ban to Israel. However, the real affront would have been for Israel to permit entry into their country people who believe they have no right to be a country. It only makes sense for Israel to not want to invite into their country people who support their enemies that are actively at war with them.
It also is Netanyahu.
He's got a hard name, okay?
Big Newton.
Let's call Fig Newton from now on.
It's also not a Muslim ban. Israel actually has many Muslims that live there. This is an Omar and Tlaib ban. A ban that is based on their words and actions against the state of Israel, not based on their religion. To demonstrate this, look at how they reacted to Tlaib when she made a humanitarian appeal saying she needed to travel to Palestine to visit her grandmother. Tlaib responded to the word that she was banned by sending a heartfelt letter saying this might be her last chance to see her grandmother. Israel's foreign officer responded by giving her permission to enter if she only went to visit her grandmother. If they were banning her for being Muslim, they wouldn't have done that.
Tlaib showed that she didn't really care about seeing her grandmother at all, and instead just wanted to win political points with her sob story. Tlaib denied the offer that was given to her, and chose to make a political statement rather than visit her grandmother. The Israeli Interior Minister agreed with me. He wrote, I authorized this humanitarian trip, referring to Tlaib's request to visit her grandmother. But it turns out it was just a provocation meant to embarrass Israel. Her hate for Israel overcomes her love for her grandmother.
Yeah. And then it also was stated in the report that I did this morning that in the letter for the plea, she agreed to the stipulations that she would not protest against Israel while she was in the West Bank. And then all of a sudden, when she was allowed in, she's like, nah, I don't want to go now.
Yeah. And it seems like an argument that Israel can't have their own laws and can't enforce their own laws regarding immigration, because this isn't like a standard they're just now applying to only Omar and Tlaib. They have laws on the books that say that bars the immigration or visiting of people on visas of people who are anti-Israel activists. It's already a law that existed. They were choosing over the last year or so to not apply that law to them out of respect for the U.S. Congress, for their relationship with Congress. But once Trump tweeted out that was going to have no effect on their political relationship, he's like, well, we're going to apply the law then.
So is it just me, or is this like Tlaib having the most masterful way ever to get out of seeing her grandma?
Yeah, she must really hate her grandmother.
Right?
I think that's what this, like, all of these shenanigans, all of the political, oh, you shouldn't have a country, it's all just like, she's like, I do not want to see that old crone. How can I get out of this? How can I get out of this so it doesn't look like it's my fault and she's hit upon the perfect plot. This is like a comedy film in the making, I think.
It all makes sense. She moved to America about as far away as you can go. She got a political job that requires lots of her time. She's obviously just trying to avoid her parents.
This whole
Oh, yeah.
time, she's just been trying to get banned from Israel so she can dodge the grandma. And then they called her on it. She's like, oh, fine, I'll write a letter asking just to visit you. And then they were like, well, we'll allow you. And she's like, my career, I can't.
She's not even Muslim and not even a Democrat. She's just holding these values as a cover for a reason to get banned from Israel. She's probably not even into sadomasochism.
All this is just about dodging grandma.
Yep.
Wow.
Anyways,
That girl
that's
must be
the
insufferable.
entertaining version of reality that I like. That's the movie in my head right now.
Yep, far more entertaining than reality.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. Bluff called, says Talik.
Oh, but there's going to be a twist in the movie when the grandma visits her, and then she's like, oh, no, it's all for nothing. And then grandma comes to America, and that's the sequel. That's the sequel movie.
Yeah, then it'll be something like the buddy cop movie where the two people are really, really different from each other.
Yeah. Oh, and then the movie will get even worse because it turns out like Trump is best friends with her grandma and they get along great, and she's like, oh, grandma, no, come on.
You're so embarrassing with me in front of my friends.
We're
Stop wearing
political.
that Trump hat.
He's my nemesis, grandma. Please stop.
I like your lens, your view of the world is far more entertaining.
It is.
I got to do something with this. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, everyone's stupid. Oh, everyone who has any power is absolutely like moon-bitingly out of their mind.
Right. So everything's a joke. After we get over the facts of everyone's stupid, we can laugh about it. Any case, any closing shots in the story?
I want to see the sequel.
Yes, me too. Oh God, this story is not a. Okay, let's do it.
Next story, then.
Yes.
Fleeing fascism. Lib exit, departure, the progress accession, whatever you want to call it, America's woke elite have had enough and they want out. Spurred by recent tragedies, Google searches for things like how to move out of America have been on the rise this week, but this sentiment isn't new.
Right. In a series of interviews with Yahoo News, who watches Yahoo News anymore? I don't know. One family says, must be the one family that watches Yahoo News, that they have already gone through the efforts of getting Polish passports. Another has applied for work visas in Australia. Some are looking at New Zealand, Spain, and Costa Rica. With bug-out bags packed. What the fuck? Are you guys preppers? Like, oh, you think this is going to be nuclear warfare? Jeez Louise. With bug-out bags packed and cash stockpiles, these Americans say they could flee at any moment.
To Poland.
Poland, I guess, is so much better.
Let's go to the EU. They're bound to give us free speech there. Dun, dun, dun.
People have been setting themselves on fire in Poland to protest the government there. And that's their escape plan.
Don't forget New Zealand and Australia are becoming increasingly, quote-unquote, progressive. Spain, that is having their own problems, and Costa Rica, that have bugs that like to go up your butt if it's not properly covered.
Yeah, but you know what? New Zealand is so diverse right now. You hardly even notice the skyrocketing violence.
How about we make things easy for them and just, send them there in advance? Anyhow.
I think I know.
But what
I understand
reason?
the problem. I think that these incredibly stupid and naive liberals have never traveled around the world, and they just believe that the world, other parts of the world are just like the postcards they see. They think that fantasy world that is the postcard version of every country that we see in media. They think that's the reality. They have no idea how uncommon our way of life and our freedoms are, and how what we have in America is not duplicated anywhere else on earth.
Yeah.
And how they, as white privileged Westerners, are the bottom rung of most of the countries that they are talking about going to. It's idiocy.
I do sometimes think we could all benefit from mandatory third world tours.
Well, I keep thinking that some of these people that keep touting the, the virtues of communism and socialism, we all need to, get a GoFundMe going and buy these people one-way tickets to Venezuela and Cuba, two wonderful countries this time of year.
You could just save a lot of money and just have them open a history book.
Right.
One.
Well,
One.
you don't have to go the trouble of getting plane tickets and send them to Venezuela. Just have them eat a pet bunny. They'll get the idea. It's kind of the same thing.
I've done that.
Yeah.
It wasn't my pet. It was raised to be fed to us in field training, but hey,
although am I the only person hung up on butt bugs in Costa Rica? What the hell is up with that? I've never heard of this.
Well,
Yeah.
butt worms are how you get gay, right? That's how you catch the gay.
They also have the bot flies down there in large populations.
See,
wow.
Yeah.
That sounds
nature, brown
Yeah.
and tooth and nail.
There
But
was
what
a
reason?
Sorry, go on.
Sorry. What reason could justify such dramatic change? The uprooting of a whole family to leave the bastion of freedom that is America? One former Californian mother who moved her whole family to the Netherlands says that it is the specter of this rising authoritarian regime that has her feeling so unsafe all the time. Another blamed the, quote, far-right Republicans for her reason to leave.
Wow. I wonder if she thinks that the UK is authoritarian compared to the US.
Right.
They're confiscating spoons.
In the UK?
Yeah,
They're
but-
shooting pointless knives to protect people from stabbings.
Yes.
Have
you been abused?
Mostly the domestic abusers from being stabbed by people defending themselves.
Oh, you've been abused? Well, then let's give your abuser a pointless knife. Not because it has no point in that it's not useful. It has no point. But don't worry, they can still hack and slash you. Don't worry about that.
At this point, they should just be grateful that they can still
they made
have
clear.
hands.
They're not giving the pointless knives to the attacker. They're giving it to the women to not successfully defend themselves with.
Right?
Yes.
It could be that too. Either
They
way,
feel
it's
these women
good.
are in danger of being attacked, so here, have this completely useless tool to not protect yourself with.
It's like giving them.
We stopped a stabbing! Yay!
You remember that time?
Like, we're gonna give you, in case you get raped by a gang of men, what you need to do, we're giving you this koosh ball. Throw it at them very hard.
They'll
then
make
you
them
run.
rethink of what they're doing for a fraction of a second before they kill you.
That would actually be much better. Throw koosh balls and just hope you can get away while they're still confused as what the hell just happened.
Of course, the moment koosh balls become effective, the police are gonna have to confiscate koosh balls.
Do you remember us, do you remember the Democrats scoffing at the slippery slope argument of saying, oh, well, if you ban this part of guns, eventually it's just going to go down to people just banning knives, and then you're going to start using hammers. They're going to start banning hammers. They're actually banning knives.
Yeah, I remember. I've heard that. I heard that too, like a few years ago. People were like, "Oh, that's ridiculous! Banning knives, that's ridiculous!" It's like, yes, correct. You people are ridiculous. That's what we're afraid of.
Yes. So a car can kill more people. A lorry, a truck can kill more people than a gun can. However, you can't use a lorry in self-defense. Usually, you can't use a
Once
rifle.
they finally get that knife control and knife violence under control, we can look forward to the sweeping crime wave of sharp stick crime in the UK.
Oh, let us not forget the free acid facials.
But you can also just make something into a knife, like make something sharp.
Yeah, they can get shivs in prison, So I'm pretty sure in the world, folks might be able to figure something out.
You can take a long, thin piece of metal, any long, thin piece of metal, and sharpen it to a blade. I'm just saying, there's no point in banning bladed things. They're not going to be eliminated.
Pointed stick crime.
Right. Yeah, pointed stick crime.
Yeah.
All you're doing is devolving society.
I might jump out a little early tonight because I've got a guest over and I want to do a bit more entertaining before the night is over.
Bring him on the show! Just kidding. It's fine. Let's finish these last two paragraphs and let's get it done.
Yeah.
While we may think this is rather extreme, it could be an intensely rational response to what you think America is like, if only you get your news from left-wing sources, and there's a lot of studies that suggest that left-wing sources is the only place that the left gets their news. whereas the right gets theirs from the left and the right, and the centrists get it from both. The left side of politics get it all from the left, mainstream media. If your whole media diet consists of watching the mainstream media, describe the Kremlin-controlled White House, detail the numerology of Trump's support of Nazis and concentration camps, it's easy to see why someone might be driven to leave.
Yeah.
Oh yes, if you believe half of that crap, you've got to be a basket case. And no wonder we see so much Trump anxiety disorder, making people a tad nuts. Anyhow, these people really believe they are fleeing a fascist regime, and this is just one of the many symptoms caused by mainstream media's continuous hyperbole and fake news. They saturate the zeitgeist with extreme rhetoric and fear, and the predictable result is fear and extreme responses. Leaving the country is a benign kind of extreme response, but as we've seen in recent weeks, other extreme responses to the fabricated threat of fascism are not.
Can you say zeitgeist, please?
Zeitgeist. Sorry.
No worries. I messed up plenty of words myself. I can fix those later on in post, but I can't use your voice. So anyways...
Yeah. I can provide another recording later if strictly necessary.
No worries. But this is a really funny story, but it's also more just further result of the mainstream media lies and fake news. They're scaring people into wanting to leave the country to go to a place where they have a fantastic view of what America is, meaning not fantasy as in good, but fantasy as in a false view of what America is, and they have a false view of where they think they're going. These people are just messed up in the head from lies they believe from the mainstream media.
Yep.
And that is our final story. So let me do the quick raffle for Dreamkeepers comic, the most recent one they have. I will send you.
And don't forget to crack open the chest as you requested to be reminded of.
Thank you. I'll do it right now while I talk. Distribute. And I will go do the raffle.
Cool. Wow, I didn't realize we were this close to the end. Awesome. Good timing.
Yes. Random name picker. And the winner, to no one's surprise, is Slowpoke. So, and just in case Slowpoke doesn't want it, I'm going to do a runner-up. And that is Timberwolf. So, Slowpoke, say in the chat if you want to have it, and also send me an email if you want to have the Dreamkeeper comic, digital version, and just to confirm it. And if you don't want it, we'll give it to Timberwolf. Timberwolf, please also send me an email. You don't need to give me an address because this is going to be sent to you with a link. I will send, David, I'll send you the money for it later, Jay.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. Also, so get the raffle, did the chest. Who did well in the chest? Oh, Trumpry got 34. Fucking awesome. In any case, thank you guys for joining us. I had fun. Do you guys have fun?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. You guys are always welcome on. I love having you guys on. Maddie, this is your first time on, but you did a great job, and I'd love to have you on again.
Thank you. Well, hopefully by then I'll have strangled Spectrum into giving me a new router, so it'll quit dumping.
Oh, I mean, if murder's how you get on here, it's fine with me. So anyways,
put him next to a bunk bed. It'll happen on its own.
Yeah, just leave him alone in a room with a bunk bed and with the cameras off. He'll take care of himself. Hey, I am considering doing a game stream, but I didn't actually ask anyone if they wanted to, so there might be a game stream here in like 15 minutes or so. If not, sorry, but thank you guys for coming. It was fun having a show with you guys. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Direwolf out. Boobs. In the social justice system, special snowflake offenses are considered especially heinous. On the internet, dedicated skeptics who investigate these vicious crimes